And hey, guys.
We're back again.
This is the Brohio Dark Vault. The vault has been opened. All of the secrets, the mysteries, the monsters, the demons, the ghosts, they've all been let out. We got to get them back in the Dark Vault. And the only way to do that is for Rob to get my big ass up on this table. Give me a good huckle fucking.
And open that butthole.
How are you doing, Rob Dog?
I am fucking great and hot and miserable.
Yeah, man. I promise I'm working on it.
No, I'm not even just saying it just down here. I'm just in general, man. It's hot out.
It's hotter than shit, man.
But I prefer it over the winter, I'll tell you that much.
All the people, all the Dr. Fauci, he said it's going to get better when Fauci, whatever. He said it's going to get better when it gets hot. That's not fucking true. That guy lied. He's a liar. Florida, most humid place in the entire world. They're like, we don't know what the fuck to do anymore. Arizona, everybody has to stay inside. That's the desert. People stay inside there anyway. Do this time of the year in Phoenix, just put some ice cubes on your nuts because it's going to suck bad, dude.
Oh, yeah, that fucking desert heat, man.
In California's California.
It's perfect weather. Yeah.
I love California.
Never fucking rains there.
No, it doesn't. It's beautiful.
Stays like a nice 80 like year round and shit.
Yeah. I remember when I visited San Diego and they didn't have a lot of the apartments there didn't have air conditioning because they just didn't need them because it's just always sunny and breezy.
Must be nice.
Must be real nice. You know, I had something. You have anything scary happen to you this week?
Besides Taco Bell closing down half of its fucking menu, that's pretty scary.
I had a very strange encounter at Taco Bell. It scared the fucking shit out of me.
Okay.
And then last night I had a dream my dad died. It was
not good.
Super emotional because, you know, my dad's like my best friend. And it was really sad, man. Then I'm usually pretty good at grabbing the dreams and saying, Nick, man.
It's a dream.
It's a fucking dream.
Yeah, I can do that too. It's pretty awesome.
Most of the time I can, but last night I was having a hard time doing it. And finally I said, I remember hugging my mom. She's like, what are we going to do? And I said, Mom, I love him so much, and he's taking such good care. I don't know what we're going to do. And I started to cry, dude. And then I remember thinking, you can't smell your mom. This is a dream. And I woke up, and I was like, God damn it, dude. 2 seconds after I woke up, the biggest lightning bolt that I have ever heard in my entire life hit in the fucking backyard and blew me 6 feet up in the air off the bed. I mean, you want to talk about my fat ass flying through the air. I just said, what the fuck is going on, man? What is happening? And I sat up. I just looked around. I said, I'm awake now.
What would you have done if you were sitting there thinking like, man, this is your mom. You can't smell her. Then you woke up and you smelled a fart.
Like, yeah.
Like, there's mom.
Yeah, I had a really bad experience a few months ago where I don't know if you guys tuned in for that episode, but I woke up to the smell of shit.
Oh, yeah.
And I went out to the kitchen to berate the dogs. I said, you fucking dickhead piece of shit. I'm having you put down. I threatened to euthanize these dogs. I love these dogs, but I threatened to have them put down. And then I went back in the bedroom. I laid down. My wife said, if you ever fart like that again and leave the bed, I'll cut your dick off. Apparently, I farted, and it stunk so bad. I woke myself up with a stink, and I didn't realize I'd farted. And I went out in the kitchen, and I berated the dogs.
Yeah.
I said, you guys don't even have balls. You fucking nasty shits. And I berated them, and I came back, and she said, no, that was you. You pooped your pants in the bed. You left a big old... There's this mask that people I see going around. It's a, you know, in Ohio, it's mandated as of an hour ago. We have to wear masks everywhere we go. But I seen someone wearing a mask that said Hanes across the lip. It looked like tidy whities, and there's a fucking brown streak around the mouth.
That's so nasty.
It was a handmade mask,
yeah,
but it was made to look like it had a shit stain on the
That's
mouth.
Awesome,
and it was tidy whities, and it was a lady wearing it. I said, man,
there's a lot of awesome masks that I've seen.
Pretty good sense of humor. I got a really cool Hulk Hogan one today in the mail.
Yeah, nice. I want to get the one that I don't remember where I saw it. Maybe it was on Rimmel's page. It was the Macaulay Culkin one where he's slapping his face.
Yeah, that is definitely a good one.
That's a really good one.
I think that, and one of my strange infatuations here lately is I've been going on YouTube and looking up movie filming locations, and it's these guys that cruise around the country and they go to different filming locations. And the one guy on there went to all the filming locations for Home Alone. He went to the toy store.
Yeah,
he went to the house. He went to the drugstore where Kevin stole the toothbrush, all that stuff. So I've been watching that stuff. That's really cool stuff. But on to my really fucking terrible story. Aside from dreaming my father passed away, getting woken up by a bolt of lightning, I went to Taco Bell, much like you, and I'm pissed off about what they're doing to the menu.
Yeah.
Because them spicy potato soft tacos, those things are fire, bro. Those things are good.
That's what she eats. That's like ever since we saw that, she's been going like every day and getting ones, and she's like, I'm not gonna be able to get them much longer.
Yeah, start freezing them.
Yeah,
it's nasty.
Buy them in bulk. And
what I do is I order ahead on the app, so I can thumb through and I can pick out everything I want. I set it up and I just pull up, like I'm some VIP shit, and I say, "Hey, it's online order for Nick," and they're like, "Is this delicious Nickalicious from the Brio podcast?" I'm like, "No, fuck him. This is Nick. Don't catch me with that shit. This is Nick, man. This is Dickless Nicholas. Let me through. Give me my potato taco." So they're like, "Okay, what would you like for your drinks?" And then without hesitation, I say, "You gotta hit me with that Baja Blast." You don't like Baja Blast?
No,
do you?
I fucking love it.
Do you?
Yeah.
I thought you didn't like it.
No.
So I cruised around to the window, and she puts her head down, and she said, "It's probably going to take a few extra seconds. We just had our power flicker, and we got to get everything heated back up." I said, "No problem." And then she just kept standing there with the window open, and she had her hand on the seal of the drive-thru window, and she had like a gnarly cut across the top of her arm. And I'm just a talker, okay? I like to talk to people. I like to wheel and deal. I like to just find out about people's stories.
I like to do that when my wife's around because it embarrasses the fuck out of her.
Right, my wife is the same way.
And I just do it on purpose.
Yeah, I'm much the same way. But I was alone for this one. And she said, she's just standing there, and it was really awkward because she left the window open. And I pulled really close to the window. And finally, I'm just like trying to create small talk. I said, "They must have took you off the grill." And she said, "What?" I said, "You got to cut yourself cutting some food up back there. They took you off the grill, huh?" Then she flips her arm over, and she's got fucking lateral slashes from her wrist all the way up to her elbow crease. And she's like, she said, "I self-harm." And I was like, "What?" Because I didn't know what to say at that point. Because what do you say? "I'm sorry, cut yourself, ma'am." Or, "I'm sorry.
Jeez.
I'm sorry, that feels good to you." And so naturally, I'm a stupid man. And when men get caught in, fucked up situations, they go, "What?" Like, "What did you say?" So I said, "What?" And she said,
she made her repeat it.
And she's like, "I cut my arms to help me feel better." And everybody in the restaurant ducked their head down. All the cooks back there ducked their head down. They were looking at me. And in the nicest dad voice that I could muster, I said, "Sweetheart, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you go through that." And then she started to fucking cry right there in the drive-thru.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, there's people out there that care about you and stuff. You could probably find someone to help you with that. Or she's like, "I've been trying my whole life to find help, and no one's ever asked me how it makes me feel. And you're the first person that's ever asked me if I'm okay." And I'm thinking, I don't have the fucking time for this right now. I have to get home to my wife and kids. I need I ordered the new grilled cheese burrito, which is phenomenal.
It looks really good.
But I'm thinking I've got about 15 incoming loogies in my food after what the cooks in there heard me saying.
Right.
So she's crying, and then the man, this, I don't know, she's always there. I go to Taco Bell a lot, okay? There's a portly manager, and she walks up, and I hear her audibly say, "Get the fuck out of the way." She tells this girl to get the fuck out of the way. And she switches out, and I'm just stone cold scared right now. Do I drive off? And if there are people out there that really do have problems with self-harming, there's avenues and outlets that you can pursue to get help. I don't recommend you know how we are. We mean the best for everybody in the entire world. And the manager's like, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. And I'm just like, I don't know what to say right now. She's like, she's literally cried like 12 times today. You're like the 12th person she's done that to. And I said, oh, okay. All right. So I didn't feel as bad, I guess. But man, talk about putting Nicolicious in a weird situation.
Yeah.
I almost said, me too. And just, that doesn't work. What do you say, Rob?
Yeah.
I'm usually the king I'm like a polar bear. I'm good at breaking the ice. You feel me? But in that situation, I had nothing to say.
That's a complete right turn. You weren't expecting it at all.
What if I could have just hit her with some negativity and be like, well, fuck you. Fuck you. Well, I don't know what to say.
You can't do that.
And I couldn't really gauge how she was.
Yeah, that's rough, man.
Really right there at the edge, but I said, sweetheart, it's gonna be all right. I tried, man.
I would have felt awful.
I felt fucking terrible. I pulled forward with my food, and I checked from all my sauces and stuff, and I paused for like 20 seconds.
Hey, please let everything be in here.
Well, they usually do a really good job at Taco Bell, honestly. Yeah. And I thought about just going inside and telling her, hey, I'm sorry. If just looking up real quick, maybe some phone numbers of people that could help her, and just going in there. But the manager said that was like the 12th person she'd done that to that day.
Still, I mean,
if you're listening, Janice, I don't know if her name was Janice.
Taco Bell girl.
Taco Bell girl.
We love you.
We love you here at the Bro IO podcast. There's no reason to hurt yourself. Me and Rob, we hurt each other, but we don't need to. There's no hurting that needs to happen. So that was my god awful, strange, fucking weirdness.
Now you put me in a fucking awful mood. I'm ready to go home.
I know, man. Like I said, what do you do?
I know.
Most of the people that listen to this show would have said, fuck you. But then there's a lot of people that would say, maybe treat it the same way I did. Like, there's people out there for you. Such a weird. But my food was missing the nachos and cheese. In case you are listening from Taco Bell, I was missing the nachos and cheese. So. This episode of The Dark Vault, I've completely stole your gumption to do this.
I'm like, I feel awful now.
Yeah, me too. Let's go up there after this and see if she's working.
Yeah. I can't imagine how you felt.
Let's go up there and take her an edible arrangement, which are way better than flowers. Don't get that shit twisted.
Right.
You ever had an edible arrangement before?
It's fucking magical.
Have you ordered one for yourself before?
No, I haven't.
It's the ultimate fat guy move.
Well, what's the occasion? I'm hungry.
I farted. Okay, we're 13 minutes and 37 seconds into this episode. We have no guest. We have no topic. We posted up an all call on our Facebook.
Facebook's blowing up right now.
We got
a lot going on.
We're gonna roll over there and see if we can find somebody to talk to right now. Unless Rob, you have did you have any weird interactions in the drive-thru this week? Every time I fucking call you, you're like, hold on a second. You're like, can I get a number 8 with a Dr. Pepper?
You always call me right around lunchtime. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, hang on, dog. Either that or I'm getting coffee, one or the other.
And you never say, I'll call you back. You always put me down, you order it, and then I start making weird noises, and you're like, you don't even tell me to shut up. You just laugh.
Nah, like, fuck, if they hear it, they hear it.
It is what it is.
Exactly.
Man.
No, nothing fun. Nothing sad.
All right. I'm sorry to ruin it for everybody. All right, let's hop on over to the Facebook page. We'll be right back with you guys.
All right.
Okay, we're here with our favorite retired senior scientist from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Some of you remember him from our 50 Shades of Grey's episode, where he talked about all of his various experiences at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, even experiences that took him all across the world. Mr. Ray Szymanski. Mr. Szymanski, how are you doing, sir?
I'm just awesome, and even better because you pronounced my name correctly.
Yeah.
I think we had a long battle with it last time.
We did. We said, this is a guy is really something to have on our show. We got to figure out how to pronounce his name, Rob. And Rob's like,
due respect.
Yeah, Rob's like, I took French in high school, man. We can crack the code on this. The cool thing about this interview is we reached out to Mr. Szymanski at the last second. We said, we need someone for our new series on our podcast. And he got back right away. He said, let's do it, guys. So we're very thankful, Ray, for you coming along on such short notice to do this with us. So thank you for that. So what this is we do a little midweek session. So you recall our interview we did at Dayton Access Television, where you took us through, all the happenings that at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and everything all the strange and weirdness that you've experienced. But your travels and your studies don't stop there. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's on beyond zebra.
Okay. Well, we have this thing in the middle of the week now called the Brohio Dark Vault, where we look for people with we're getting a lot of ghost stories, which we're kind of burned out on ghost stories. We had a really good ghost story last week, but we're looking for people with profound alien experiences, people that have experienced government cover-ups, Bigfoots, cryptids, all kinds of strange experiences like that. And I said, you know what? All these people we're reaching out to, they just say, I lived in a haunted house growing up. I said, why don't we try getting a hold of Mr. Szymanski here, see if he can get with us, because I know he's got some cool stuff to talk about. And now last we talked, we pretty much just covered what we covered everything that kind of your experiences related to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Is there are there any cases that you've been working on, I guess, in the past year that we hadn't really talked about at the Dayton Access Television? Anything that kind of strange has popped up?
Yes, are you guys? Is your seatbelt fully fastened across your lap? Is your tray table in a fully upright and locked position along with your seats?
Yeah, as long as there's no one in the middle row, I'm fine.
I did put my diaper on too, so we're good.
Okay, great. So actually, there's a couple of things, because one, I have a great personal ghost story that took place at the Gettysburg National Cemetery.
Wow.
Nice.
But since you don't want to talk about that, I'll move on.
Ray, it's these hokey ghost stories that people keep telling us. They say, I lived in a haunted house and I heard it crash one night, and then I ran downstairs and there was a pot on the floor. I'm like, well, that was your fat ass cat. You need to feed the thing and it'll stay off the stove.
Well, if you want to, I'll actually tell you the story.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it.
Okay, so here's what happened. The Air Force Research Lab corporate board, which includes the executive director, he's a civilian. He's second in command of all Air Force research labs, and that's 10,000 plus people. $3 billion budget. So they're having a corporate board meeting in Gettysburg, and I've been invited to give a talk about a wellness program, and all the directors are there. They used to be laboratory chiefs, but they're now directorate chiefs. But these are SESs, so they're very high-ranking general officer level people. Okay. And my task is to go in there and to outline a plan to start a wellness program for Air Force Research Labs. So I drive my personal car from Dayton to Gettysburg. And of course, at day 2 comes up, it's my turn. They usher me in and I go give this talk where I pitch this plan. So it was like a 2 or 3 day meeting, and they didn't require me to do anything. So the Gettysburg National Cemetery was there, and I had an off day while I was waiting for them to make a decision. And the reason I had to wait there is if they decided to go ahead with the plan, they were going to send me directly to Washington, D.C. and start working with one of our organizations there.
Wow.
So after my talk, this is an evening now, the sun's setting, I'm going to catch that magic, 10 minutes of that golden sunset on the monuments that are there. So I've got my fancy Canon 20D camera, and I'm just snapping all kinds of photos.
Sure.
I go home, back to the hotel that night. I have my dinner. I meet a couple of people that I met there during the week, and we shot the breeze. The next morning, they tell me, hey, we've decided we're approving your plan.
Wow.
And we're sending you directly to Washington, D.C., where our Air Force Office of Scientific Research is, and you're going to meet with some people there, and you're going to start to work something for that organization immediately.
Wow.
Well, I decided that before I drove to Washington, I wanted to make another stop at the Gettysburg National Cemetery. I left my camera in its camera bag, and I left it on the floor of my car. And the reason I did that is the night before I was all like, man, I want to catch some ghosts. And because everybody who goes, you know the stories, right? People always catch ghosts. And there's a book about ghosts, Sure. So I said about Gettysburg. But I left my camera on the floor of my car and I said, no pictures. I just want to kind of breathe in the aura. Sure. I just wanted to get a feel for the place, not capture anything mechanically. So it was maybe an hour, and it was maybe 10 o'clock in the morning. I'd have to refer to my old notes. I get back in the car, and I'm going to take this 2-lane highway. It was kind of a freeway is limited access, right? There's just certain on and off ramps. Right. But this is a 2-lane highway, like, Maryland Highway or Pennsylvania Highway 666. And it had kind of a lot of places where you could get on and off. Well, I left that National Cemetery, and I'm just getting on the ramp to take this almost all the way into Washington, D.C. And I may be on there for 2 or 3 minutes, and I look to the right, and there is an apparition sitting in the passenger seat of my car.
Oh, geez.
Oh, no.
And it looked exactly like Ulysses S. Grant.
Holy shit.
You know how they say, you're scared stiff?
Yeah.
and I did not know what that meant. Well, once I almost got into a bad traffic accident, and the other time I did. So both of those times it was that feeling.
Yeah.
But I couldn't move hardly any muscle, and I didn't want to look directly back at the apparition because, it'd be like one of those Ghostbuster things where it grabs your face or something.
Did you congratulate him on the win?
Undefeated in the Civil War. So I'm looking peripherally at it, and I can clearly see through the apparition, and I can see the door handle and everything, the armrest on my car, and at his feet is my camera bag. Now, the dumb side of my brain kept going, grab the camera and get a photo.
Yeah, I get, yeah.
And the smart side said, in order to do that, you're going to have to lean into the apparition.
Oh, that's tricky.
And
that's a fork in the road, Ray.
Yeah, it is. And maybe you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I debated that. This apparition was in my car for 30 minutes.
Are you serious?
Gosh.
I'm dead serious. I pulled off about 30 minutes. I was heading, I think it's southbound from, maybe it was at south or east. Anyway, I was 30 minutes down the highway. It was time to go take a little wee-wee, grab a bag of licorice, which was my go-to road food.
I'm sure Ulysses S. Grant would probably make fun of you for eating licorice.
Maybe, I should look for cannonballs or something.
Yeah, chewed on thumbtacks. There's no
rocks.
I'm like, hey, Ulysses, I could take you the rest of the way, but you're going to have to give me some fucking gas money, bro. Washington, D.C. is not a cheap place to fill up.
Well, I decided, I took one, because I was moving out of the car, and as I got my butt scooted out, I did a full-on look at the apparition to make sure that I remembered what it was. Because I said, I've got to have that image of him.
Was he moving? Was he moving or was he stiff?
Absolutely never moved. No, there was no facial expression. It was almost like a hologram that froze, like at a Disney ride.
And my hair's standing up in my neck right now.
So I got out and I closed the door. I think I locked it, maybe. I don't know. But I made sure that I got a full look at him. I left my camera on the floor, of course. Went in, took a bathroom break, bought some candy. When I came back out...
You roll the window down for him?
No. And that's why when I came back, he was probably gone. He was gone.
Yeah. Wow.
So here's an interesting cap to all this. A couple years after this happened, many years after this happened, I was in Myrtle Beach, and my best friend died. He was part of our golf group, and we used to go to Myrtle every year. So his wife said that his funeral was going to be at the end of our trip. And so I just drove from Myrtle Beach up to Maryland, to Gambrills, for his funeral. It turns out that was going to be in the vicinity of a place called the Thomas Farm. Now, the Thomas Farm is historically significant because during the Civil War, President Grant, well, then General Grant, brought in some of his other generals to plan war strategy there. And he stayed at this farm for over 2 weeks. So I knew I was going to be in the area. And after I went to my friend's funeral, I went to visit the Thomas Farm. But it had since been converted from a touristy thing to the local headquarters of the National Park Service, and you couldn't get into it. But I wanted to research General Grant. So I went in, I had a copy of my book. As soon as I drove into the parking lot of the Thomas Farm, the guy who was the head of the National Park Service for the building came out and said, like, dude, what are you doing here? So
dropping this
I
guy
didn't want
off.
to tell him, because it's private property. I didn't want to tell him, well, I'm here to investigate General Grant's ghost that was in my car.
Hey, you want to meet Ulysses?
And I did. And so what happened is I just told him, I said, there was a big history of President Grant being here. And he was so impressed with my knowledge. And then I gave him a copy of my book. He invites me in. And then he tours me through the whole property, and I'm reciting the history to him.
Oh, wow.
He's the national park guy, and so he's introducing me to everybody. So here's the boom crash on the cymbals. He tells me after he tours me everywhere, basement, bathroom, the whole thing. Oh, this is where Grant had all these meetings. He said, you can have free run of the place. Go outside, if you want to get the aura of the place. There was a big battle here, a raging, gun battle. He said, but don't dig anything up, and then come back and see me before you leave. 12 photographs that I took in that house. The files went
just gone.
Outside pictures I took, fine. Some of the inside pictures I took, fine. But a couple of the rooms in which Grant ran his operations, the files were non-recoverable. Now, I've taken 100,000 photos plus in that camera. I have never had a file failure.
Yeah. God.
And that's my General Grant ghost story.
That's pretty profound. That's pretty the kind of shit we're looking for, Ray. That's pretty good. What kind of... Could you tell what he was wearing whenever he was riding next to you?
The blue uniform. He had the full blue Union uniform.
Yeah.
But I saw like the gold trim shoulder pad, epaulette of whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I never saw any rank on it.
Okay. Well, one of Rob's favorite things to do is to eat a bag of edibles and go drive on the highway. I don't know if
it's a pastime.
That's pretty intense, man.
Well, I also discovered later on, after that incident happened, I did some more research, and I discovered that the state fair, the big fair, the area fair, was only a handful of miles from where I parked to take that potty break.
Yeah.
And Grant had been there twice as the guest of honor.
Okay.
For that big fair. So it was almost like, thanks for taking me. He knew I was going to Washington. He hitchhiked the ride till he got close enough to the Thomas Farm and to the fairgrounds there. And he said, you know what? This is close enough to my destination. I can hoof it from here.
Yeah, that was kind of my next question is, there's a lot of different explanations for what ghosts are doing. Some are like a residual haunting, and some just replay certain events. And I didn't know what you thought, possibly if he was just trying to retrace a route that he had possibly done when he was alive, and just thought, these things are a lot faster than horse and buggies.
Well, he was from Ohio, and I had Ohio plates on my car. Yeah. So maybe he thought, hey, he's going to take me back home here out of Gettysburg. I don't know. And then when he realized I was going in the wrong direction, he bailed.
Didn't even say anything.
It was a very profound experience. And I'll tell you, I had the radio off, and I wasn't petrified anymore. But I can tell you, it's one of those, you start to think so deep.
Yeah.
It's just one of those moments.
God, that was probably numbing, to say the least. Kind of just sitting. I would have pulled over and said, "You got to get out, pal. I don't know what you are.
My nerves can't handle this."
Especially if I were you and all the stuff that you've stirred up, I would be like, "I don't know what you are or what you're doing, but you're going to have to get out."
Well, the way that I got rid of all that feeling is a couple nights later, the Rolling Stones were playing at the MCI Center, and I went to go see the Stones.
Okay. I guess that kind of helps it all.
Yeah, it raised the spirit of me.
Oh man, that's good stuff. Hopefully, I can't lie. I'm kind of jealous. I wish something like that would happen to me, but I hope it's someone a lot cooler than, Ulysses S. Grant is up there as far as, I think the pinnacle. I'd probably like Jesus. That would be pretty cool for him to hop in and take him for a ride somewhere. Someone cool like that. Oh man, that's pretty aggressive. Now, a couple months ago, we had on, and I've been meaning to write you, but I'm going to put you on the spot right now and just ask you.
Why not? Might as well.
Ask you here on live television. Here we're live on NBC. We're gonna we had a gentleman on. You've probably heard of his name before, but he's claims to be a participant of the 20 and Back Space program, and he went through his whole entire, from start to finish, how he just was abducted during his childhood and was kind of forced into slavery, and he went through his entire life, and it didn't just start as a slave on Mars. It kind of started as a sex slave here in America, and it kind of went along with all the kind of the stuff in the media right now.
We're hearing about now,
Jeff Epstein and Bill Clinton and the Pedogate stuff. And he was forced into sex slavery in Seattle, I believe. And then after that, he was taken to Mars, where he was trained as like a cargo officer. And he escorted cargo fleets back and forth. And he was trained to fight these giant bugs on Mars. I know you do a lot of these different conferences and a lot of different speaking engagements, and you've met 1,000 million times more people than us. I didn't know if you had an opinion about the 20 and Back Space program that we did 2 episodes on it, and we had a very good response. I didn't know if you had an opinion on the 20 and Back Space program.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It's something that I've really not researched, so I don't really think I'm qualified. But sure. I can say that if somebody tells you that they were working on Mars, I'd be highly skeptical.
Okay, what you think? It's because of the way the environment is up there, or is there a specific reason why you would be skeptical of that?
Well, I can remember giving testimony many years ago in front of a council, as it were. It was called Moon, Mars, and Beyond, and it was led by the lady who ran Hewlett Packard at one time, Fiorina. She was head of Hewlett Packard, and they picked certain scientists and representatives of the community to come in and discuss this plan of actually going to Mars. Sure. And John Glenn was part of this thing, and I think that was the first time I met him. Maybe it was the second time. But anyway, we got a chance. We each got 2 minutes. And they gave a talk, and then we got to do a testimony or ask questions or make requests of them. And my request was, I said, hey, if in the process of you guys building things and going to Mars, if you encountered a true extraterrestrial civilization, or they buzzed you in their spaceship, or you honestly became aware of that, would you tell us? And that was my request. And the lady who was in charge, she said, I think, and we should do that. And there was a lot of head nodding, not only in the room, but at the head table. So my feeling is back when I did that testimony, that had to be, God, I don't know, 2003 or 4 or 5. I don't think they would have put that stuff together that quickly. I mean, sure. That's a very big, undertaking. In fact, in fact, hold on 1 second. Just take me 1 second.
No problem. Ray's turning around and he's reaching up into his cabinet. I don't know if he's going to
Oh my God, it's a dildo.
This is truly one of my most precious keepsakes, and I'll hold it up for you. Everybody who was chosen and testified in front of that committee got this Moon, Mars, and Beyond pin.
Nice.
And this I'm leaving for my children, and I put a little note here that said, awarded to those who testified to the Moon, Mars, and Beyond Commission at Wright Pat. And I wrote, this is mine, and I signed it.
Okay. That's awesome.
So it's my feeling that maybe now we're getting ready to do that, but somebody who's telling you that years ago they were there, I'm really skeptical.
Sure, I get it. There was some other people that had come forward with him that claimed to have been part of this 20 and back space program. That they pick you up and then they force you into 20 years of essentially military service, and then they drop you off at the exact moment that they picked you up, and no one ever knows you're going. That's kind of how they explain it.
Well, if you're gone 20 years and nobody knows you're gone, you didn't amount to much before they took you.
Well, I think it's kind of like that kind of goes into the whole time travel. So he would be gone for 20 years, but when he would return, it would be just after he originally left. But he was gone. He was gone a full 20 years in that time.
I see.
If that makes sense.
Now I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just thinking if you were counting human years,
right?
If he's like, Uncle Joe's been gone for 20 years, nobody gives a crap.
Yeah. We hated that guy.
He used to have me pull his thumb all the time.
I'm that uncle.
He went out for smokes 20 years ago. Haven't seen him since.
Since we last talked, they had all the giant releases from the Pentagon about the UFOs that they say. Okay, the Pentagon came out and said, yeah, there's some shit flying around, and we don't know what it is, and we can't account for it. And at the time, this stuff was kind of still hush-hush, and it wasn't out publicly. What do you think is next after this last release by the Pentagon where they said, there's stuff in the sky that we can't explain, and we don't know what it is? What do you think is next, Ray?
Well, back up a little bit. In 2019, I gave a talk at the UFO MegaCon in Laughlin, Nevada. And one of the speakers there as a set was a handful of the Navy guys who served on that Nimitz, who were the witnesses. And so they're the guys you see on TV all the time.
Right.
And the cool thing is that at night we would all socialize together, all the speakers, and there was like 50 speakers. It was massive conference. So I got to sit and have beers with those guys one night.
Wow.
So I have a first person accounting. And when you get to look them in the eyes and you say, hey, you ask them a question and you realize how forthcoming they are, you recognize it's something that really happened to them. So that being said, it would be nice if more of that happened. And I can tell you that in working on my third book of the trilogy, I have uncovered a member of the military services who is a first-person witness to one of the most famous UFO cases ever, a case that was vehemently denied by the government and especially the Air Force, and it got worldwide attention. That individual has agreed to tell me his story, and he's basically going to rewrite UFO history for that one very famous particular incident.
Wow.
He is the first person witness. And so extrapolating that, I'm hoping that what those guys are doing for the former ATIP program and what I'm going to be doing in the final book is going to be encouraging all of those people who are government and military to come forward.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That'll be the day, Ray. That'll be Ray's Day. Whenever that all happens, we're going to call it Ray's Day, whenever all that happens.
That's the day I retire and go play golf permanently.
All right. Well, Ray, thank you so much for coming and hitting us up in such short time. Let's do a quick 50 Shades of Grays.
It's now called Alien Shades of Grays.
Shades of Grays, okay.
Yeah, Alien Shades of Grays. There was a slight hint from the people who owned 50 Shades of Grays that perhaps somebody would confuse their smutty hoariness with my alien books, and that I might want to consider changing the title. So,
well, you should have contacted us because we're really good at fuck you letters, Ray. We could have definitely got that sorted out for you, buddy.
They had a whole building full of attorneys, so
yeah, we're way smart. We're way smarter than those guys.
I caved.
So, give us a quick plug of your books, real quick, Ray.
Alien Shades of Grays: Evidence of Extraterrestrial Visitation to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and Beyond is a in-depth, down-to-bedrock look. It's a UFO expose. It's a travel adventure. I take 4 famous cases, and I find new witnesses. I interview old witnesses, and I discover that in my quest for the truth, I find more than I bargained for. In the second book, Alien Shades of Grays: Victoria's Secret Truth, I did a 2-year case study on a highly professional, lovely woman who claims to have had abduction experiences since she was around 5 years old. And I looked at her clinical, medical, photographic, hypnotic therapy evidence to piece together a 2-year case study and prove to myself that something with entities has been happening to her for the last 40 years.
And just a little heads up, we're going to be reaching out to her within the next couple months here to try and see if we can facilitate something with maybe the both of you or just her, but preferably both of you if we can.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Szymanski, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
We couldn't be more grateful. You're always a fantastic interview.
Always a pleasure.
And hopefully, just like the first time, I hope we didn't let you down, Ray.
No, guys, that's great. And are those new digs there, or?
Oh no, this is the collection. Your book is back. Your autographed copy is back here somewhere, up in the sky. Or we've run out of room, but we've got all kinds of stuff back here.
Well, don't tell me you were looking for it during the toilet paper shortage.
No, my wife took care of that. I could flip the camera around. There's a wall of shit paper back there. So. All right, Ray. Well,
thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
That's Ray Szymanski.
Such a good guy.
God, man, he knows so much stuff.
I know he does.
He's such an untapped brain, and I think that I think he's wonderful.
Who else has driven, what was it, 30 minutes with Ulysses S. Grant sitting in the shotgun?
Oh, that's so cool. I think he's single, too. I'm going to reach out to him. I'm just going to see if we can make it happen.
Might as well.
I think you guys didn't hear it before we started recording, but he said my voice is too bassy and he couldn't hear me. So he asked Rob to keep kicking me in the nuts
to raise his voice, make it a little bit higher.
All right, guys. So that's the newest episode of The Dark Vault. That was a good one.
It was. Thank you, guys.
Yep. See it. Fucking.
Oh, fuck, I guess. Love you.